One man's I'm not ready is another man's she's exactly what I've been praying for.
What happens when the person you trust most becomes your greatest threat? When love transforms into possession and business success becomes a death sentence? October 7th, 2023. A quiet Saturday afternoon in North Philadelphia. A mother takes her 7-year-old son for a routine haircut at a local barbershop. Within minutes, gunshots shatter the peace, and a successful businesswoman lies dead on the floor while her child watches in terror. This is the story of Tiffany Wade, known online as Nyla Amor, a registered nurse, entrepreneur, and mother of 3 who built an empire from nothing, only to have it cost her everything. It's also the story of Armand Hilton, her ex-husband and the father of her youngest child, who believed that love meant ownership and that betrayal deserved the ultimate punishment. Before we dive into today's chilling case, if you're passionate about true crime stories that expose the red flags we often miss, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Here at True Crime Red Flag, we uncover the warning signs that could save lives, and your support helps us bring you these critical stories every week. Have you ever trusted someone so completely that you'd sign everything you own over to them? Have you ever believed that love meant loyalty, no matter the cost? Today's case will make you question everything you think you know about trust. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the biggest red flag you've ever ignored in a relationship? Your story might help someone else recognize the warning signs. Welcome to True Crime Red Flag, where we expose the warning signs that could save your life. This is the Tiffany Wade case, a tragedy that continues to unfold as her killer remains at large. This story will challenge everything you think you know about trust, money, and the lengths some people will go to maintain control. To understand this tragedy, we need to start with Tiffany Wade herself. Born on June 17th in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, Tiffany came from a devoted Muslim family. By the age of 20, she had already earned her nursing license, an impressive achievement that would have made any parent proud. But Tiffany wasn't satisfied with just one success. She was driven by an entrepreneurial spirit that would eventually transform her life and ultimately seal her fate. Online, she cultivated a different persona, Nyla Amor, the blueprint. This wasn't just a social media handle, it was a brand, a lifestyle, and a declaration of independence. Tiffany built not 1 but 3 successful businesses. Kisses Care provided home health care services, utilizing her nursing background to help elderly clients and their families. Kisses Amor Extension specialized in luxury hair products, tapping into a lucrative market. Her newest venture, Seasoned Kisses, expanded her business portfolio even further. Every morning, Tiffany would post spiritual reminders for her followers to read the Quran. Every evening, she'd upload videos showcasing her latest purchases, designer bags, luxury cars, and expensive vacations. To her thousands of followers, she appeared to have it all: success, independence, and the financial freedom to live life on her own terms. But behind the glamorous social media posts was a more complex reality. Tiffany was a single mother raising 3 children largely on her own. Her eldest daughter was mature beyond her years, having learned to help care for her younger siblings. Her middle child was finding their own way in the world. And then there was her youngest, a 7-year-old boy whose father would ultimately become her destroyer. Tiffany often shared motivational content with her followers, encouraging them never to give up, to keep pushing forward no matter what obstacles they faced. In one particularly poignant post, she wrote, "Every storm is not a test from God. Some storms are from the choices you made." These words would prove to be tragically prophetic. The loss of her mother had left a deep impact on Tiffany's life. Her father remained her primary family support, watching with both pride and concern as his daughter built her empire. He saw her success, but he also witnessed the growing threats that would eventually culminate in tragedy. What many people didn't realize was that Tiffany's business empire had darker origins than anyone imagined. The properties and initial capital that funded her entrepreneurial ventures hadn't come from her nursing salary or business loans. They had come from someone else entirely, someone who expected them back. Armand Hilton, a 44-year-old man from Chester, Pennsylvania, known on the streets by the nickname Speedy. Armand's criminal record painted the picture of a dangerous individual with a history of violence that stretched back decades. In 2002, Armand had been involved in a kidnapping scheme that made headlines. He and his crew had planned to collect ransom money, but the operation went wrong, and Armand found himself behind bars. This wasn't a minor offense. It was a serious federal crime that revealed his capacity for calculated violence and his willingness to cross lines that most people wouldn't even approach. But kidnapping wasn't Armand's only crime. His record included charges for armed robbery, weapons violations, and assault. This was a man who had built his identity around intimidation and violence, someone who solved problems with threats and followed through when those threats were ignored. At some point during his criminal career, Armand met Tiffany Wade. Despite his dangerous reputation, they developed a relationship that led to marriage and the birth of their son. To the outside world, they might have seemed like an unlikely couple, the aspiring nurse and the street criminal, but their connection ran deeper than anyone realized. Armand's criminal activities eventually caught up with him, as they always do. Facing another prison sentence, he found himself in a desperate situation. His assets were at risk of seizure by law enforcement. Properties, cars, cash accounts, everything he had accumulated through years of illegal activities could disappear while he served his time. That's when he made a decision that would ultimately cost both of them everything. He transferred his assets to Tiffany's name. In his mind, this was a temporary arrangement. Tiffany had a clean record, no criminal history, and as his wife and the mother of his child, he trusted her completely. She would hold his properties, manage his affairs, and wait for his return. "When I get out, baby, we'll be set. Just hold it down for me," he told her, and she agreed. What choice did she have? She was the mother of his child, his wife, and in their community, you stand by your man no matter what. But Armand fundamentally misunderstood the woman he had married. He saw Tiffany as a placeholder, a temporary caretaker who would dutifully wait for his return and hand everything back without question. He thought love meant obedience, that marriage guaranteed loyalty, and that their son would ensure her compliance. He was catastrophically wrong. Years change people, and they certainly changed Tiffany Wade. What started as a reluctant agreement to hold Armand's assets temporarily became something else entirely, a transformation that neither of them had anticipated. While Armand sat in prison planning his return to power, Tiffany discovered something about herself. She was good at business. Really good. The properties that Armand had transferred to her name weren't just sitting idle. She was managing them, maintaining them, and most importantly, generating income from them. Tiffany learned to navigate real estate markets, manage tenant relationships, and invest wisely. She took Armand's criminal proceeds and began legitimizing them through proper business channels. What had started as illegal assets became the foundation for legal enterprises. But the transformation went deeper than just financial acumen. Tiffany was evolving as a person. The woman who had agreed to hold Armand's assets was becoming someone entirely different. Someone who didn't need him, didn't fear him, and didn't owe him anything. By the time Armand expected to return to his empire, Tiffany had built her own. The properties were generating legitimate income. Her businesses were thriving. She had created something real, something sustainable, something that belonged to her. And then she made the decision that would seal both their fates. She cut Armand off completely, changed the locks on properties, sold some assets, blocked his calls from prison, and started fresh with another man. In her mind, she was finally free. In Armand's mind, she had committed the ultimate betrayal. This wasn't just about money or property. For Armand, this was about identity, respect, and control. He had given her everything, trusting that she would give it back. Instead, she had shown him that his trust was worthless and his power was an illusion. The irony was striking. Tiffany had taken Armand's criminal empire and transformed it into legitimate success. She had turned dirty money into clean businesses, illegal proceeds into legal profits. In any other context, this might have been seen as redemption, a second chance, a positive transformation. But Armand didn't see redemption. He saw theft. He didn't see transformation. He saw betrayal. And in his world, betrayal had only one possible response. When Armand was finally released from prison, he expected to return to his old life. Instead, he discovered that his old life no longer existed. The properties were in Tiffany's name, legally and permanently. The businesses were hers, the money was hers, and most painful of all, she had moved on with another man. Armand's initial attempts to contact Tiffany were met with silence. She had blocked his calls, refused his visits, and made it clear that their relationship was over. For a man who had built his identity around control and intimidation, this rejection was unbearable. That's when the threats began. What made this situation particularly chilling was how public Tiffany made these threats. She didn't hide them or keep them private. Instead, she posted screenshots of Armand's messages on her social media accounts, letting the world see exactly what kind of danger she was facing. The messages revealed a man spiraling into rage and desperation. Armand's words painted a picture of someone who viewed Tiffany not as an independent person, but as property that had been stolen from him. His threats escalated from demands for the return of his assets to promises of violence. "I'm a psychopath," he told her in one message. "You ain't making it out of Philly. That boy is the only reason you're still walking around, so you better thank my son and Allah." The reference to their son was particularly disturbing. Even in his rage, Armand recognized that their child was the only thing preventing him from acting on his threats immediately. But that protection wouldn't last forever. Why did Tiffany post these threats publicly? Some observers believed she was warning people, documenting her truth, and perhaps even leaving breadcrumbs just in case something happened to her. Others thought she was trying to shame Armand into backing down by exposing his behavior. Whatever her motivation, the public nature of these threats created a chilling countdown that played out in real time on social media. Thousands of people watched as a dangerous man promised violence against a woman who had dared to claim her independence. October 7th, 2023, started like any other Saturday for Tiffany Wade. She woke up in her Philadelphia home, followed her usual routine of morning prayers and coffee, and checked overnight orders for her hair extension business. It was a normal family morning with the usual chaos of managing 3 children. Her final Instagram story was posted that morning. "Stay focused. Your time is coming. Cut out distractions." She had no idea she was posting her last message to the world. Around 12:30 p.m., Tiffany told her youngest son it was time for his haircut. The 7-year-old boy climbed into the car, excited about their trip to Platinum Cut's Barbershop. It was a routine they had followed many times before, just another Saturday errand in what should have been a normal weekend. The drive to Platinum Cuts took about 15 minutes, down Broad Street and then onto West Lehigh Avenue. Tiffany parked outside the barbershop at 1:15 p.m., and she and her son walked inside together. Security cameras on the corner captured their arrival, though no one knew at the time how important that footage would become. Inside the barbershop, everything was normal. The familiar smell of hair products and aftershave filled the air. Barbers nodded hello as regular customers chatted about the Eagles game. Tiffany's son climbed into the barber chair, excited to get his hair cut, while his mother sat nearby scrolling through her phone and responding to messages about hair orders. At 1:47 p.m., the barbershop's doorbell chimed. Someone was entering, but Tiffany didn't look up immediately. She was focused on her phone, managing her business, thinking about the rest of their Saturday plans. Then she heard a familiar voice call her name. When she looked up, her worst fears were realized. Armand Hilton stood in the doorway, and she knew immediately why he was there. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't a chance encounter. This was the fulfillment of every threat he had made. 2 shots rang out in quick succession, one to her torso, one to her head. Armand hadn't come to have a conversation or make one final demand. He had come to make good on his promises. The gunshots echoed through Platinum Cut's barbershop, and for a moment nobody moved. The clippers stopped buzzing. Conversations died mid-sentence. Then a child's scream cut through the silence, high, desperate, and primal. "Mommy! Mommy!" Her 7-year-old son screamed from the barber chair, the cape still around his neck, watching his mother fall to the floor. The last image this child would have of his mother was her taking her final breath. Armand turned and ran, leaving his own child's cries behind him. He had accomplished what he came to do, but at a cost that defied comprehension, traumatizing his own son in the process. The first 911 call came in at 1:49 p.m. Someone just shot a woman at Platinum Cuts on Lehigh. There's blood everywhere. She's not moving. Her kid is here. The shooter just walked out. Within minutes, West Lehigh Avenue filled with sirens. Police cars, ambulances, and fire trucks converged on the scene. The entire block was shut down as paramedics worked desperately on Tiffany Wade. But it was too late. At 2:04 p.m. on October 7th, 2023, Tiffany Wade was pronounced dead. Homicide detectives arrived to begin their investigation. Yellow tape stretched across the barbershop entrance. Evidence markers were placed next to shell casings. Photographers documented every angle of the crime scene. The 7-year-old boy sat with a crisis counselor, unable to speak. Trauma had rendered him silent, and his last image of his mother would haunt him forever. The barber chair where he had been getting his haircut became part of a crime scene that would be burned into his memory. By 4:30 p.m., an all-points bulletin had been issued for Armand Hilton. The description was clear: armed and dangerous, do not approach. Every police officer in Philadelphia, Chester, and surrounding counties had his photo and instructions to consider him extremely dangerous. The motive became clear when investigators checked Tiffany's social media accounts. Screenshot after screenshot of threats were there for everyone to see. She had documented the escalating violence publicly, creating a digital trail that led directly to her killer. Social media exploded with reactions to the news. Justice for Tiffany began trending within hours, but the comments revealed a community divided about the circumstances that led to her death. Today, more than a year after Tiffany Wade's murder, Armand Hilton remains at large. Despite a massive manhunt involving local police, state authorities, and federal agencies, he has managed to evade capture. A $20,000 reward remains in effect for information leading to his arrest and conviction. The FBI has classified this as interstate flight to avoid prosecution, turning a local murder into a federal manhunt. Resources continue to be dedicated to finding Armand, but his knowledge of the streets and his criminal network have helped him stay hidden. 3 children now live without their mother, gathering each year to celebrate what they call her heavenly birthday. The eldest daughter has stepped into her mother's role, holding the family together with strength beyond her years. In a heartbreaking social media post on one of Tiffany's birthdays, she wrote, "You really built me Ford tough. Your legacy will live on." This case raises difficult questions about domestic violence, the criminal justice system, and the price of independence. Could Tiffany have done anything differently? Should she have left Philadelphia when the threats began? Was there a way for this story to end differently? But perhaps the most important question is this: how many other women are living Tiffany's story right now? How many are one property transfer away from violence? How many are counting down to a prison release date, knowing what might come next? Before I wrap up, I want to hear from you. What red flags do you think Tiffany missed early in her relationship with Armand? What would you have done differently in her situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights could help someone else recognize dangerous patterns before it's too late. If you found this investigation valuable and want to see more cases where we break down the warning signs that everyone missed, please hit that like button and subscribe to True Crime Red Flag. Your support helps us continue exposing these critical stories and potentially saving lives by highlighting the red flags we often ignore. Tiffany Wade's case reminds us that domestic violence doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes it comes disguised as business disputes or property disagreements. Sometimes the most dangerous person in a woman's life is someone she once trusted completely. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Armand Hilton, please contact the Philadelphia Police Department immediately. Do not approach him if you see him. He is considered armed and extremely dangerous. And if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233. Tiffany Wade was more than a victim. She was a mother, a businesswoman, an entrepreneur who transformed criminal proceeds into legitimate success. Her story deserves to be remembered not just as a tragedy, but as a testament to what's possible when someone refuses to accept the limitations others place on them. The search for justice continues. Somewhere, Armand Hilton is still free, while 3 children grow up without their mother. This story isn't over, and it won't be until he's brought to justice. Thank you for watching True Crime Red Flag. Remember to stay safe, stay aware, and never underestimate the importance of recognizing and speaking out against the red flags that could save your life or someone else's.